Well, friends, New York Attorney General Letitia James is back in the news. She's asking a New York appeals court to reject Donald Trump's, quote, meritless legal arguments, close quote, and reject his, quote, deception, close quote, and asking the appeals court to affirm the nearly $500 million civil fraud judgment that was entered against Donald Trump. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So, we've missed you, Attorney General James. Now, we know you've been doing the hard work protecting the interests of the people of New York, but it's good to see you back in the news. This from NBC. Headline: New York State urges appeals court to uphold Donald Trump's nearly $500 million civil fraud judgment. That article begins: New York State lawyers urged an appeals court late Wednesday to uphold Donald Trump's nearly $500 million civil fraud judgment, arguing there's overwhelming evidence to support a judge's finding that the former president lied for years about his wealth as he built his real estate empire. In paperwork filed ahead of oral arguments next month, New York Attorney General Letitia James' office said the current Republican nominee's appeal is awash in meritless legal arguments and ignores volumes of trial evidence showing that he and his co-defendants engaged in fraud and illegality on an immense scale. Quote, on appeal, defendants, Trump and company, tellingly ignore almost all their deceptions. Assistant Solicitor General Daniel Maggie wrote in a 168-page submission to the state's mid-level appeals court, known as the Appellate Division. Trump, his company, and top executives, including his sons, Eric and Don Jr., created and used financial statements rife with blatant misrepresentations and omissions to maintain loans worth more than $500 million and to generate over $360 million in ill-gotten profits, Maggie wrote. The Appellate Division said Wednesday that it will hear the case on September 26th, about 6 weeks before Election Day and just after the start of early voting in some states. The court typically rules about a month after arguments, meaning a decision could come before the presidential race. So friends, this legal development, it's pretty darn relevant to the presidential race. I mean, it bears directly on Donald Trump's suitability to ever hold office again. And I think we have to add this legal development together with all of the other legal developments and circumstances Donald Trump is facing. So you've got a nearly $500 million civil fraud judgment that was entered against him that's going to be argued in the New York Court of Appeals. You've got a jury in the E. Jean Carroll case unanimously deciding that Donald Trump is liable for sexual battery and defamation. You've got another jury in New York in a criminal case unanimously finding Donald Trump guilty of 34 felony crimes, all designed to help him cheat in the 2016 presidential election. You've got a grand jury in Washington, D.C. that indicted Donald Trump for trying to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election, which he lost. You've also got a grand jury indicting Donald Trump down in Florida for unlawfully retaining classified documents, obstructing justice, and violating our nation's espionage laws. And don't forget, you've got both a trial court judge and a state Supreme Court in Colorado ruling and affirming that Donald Trump engaged in insurrection when he tried to unlawfully retain the power of the presidency. And of course, out in Arizona, we learned recently that a grand jury wanted to indict Donald Trump for his election crimes. Out there, the prosecutor said, not just yet. So they made him an unindicted co-conspirator out in the Arizona case. But of course, one of Donald Trump's lawyers has recently flipped against him. So maybe that will change. Maybe he'll be indicted out there as well. Need I go on, friends? Donald Trump is de facto disqualified from ever holding office. Again, never mind the highest office in the land, President of the United States. He is de facto disqualified. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.